Revolutionary to the day I die. Black fists in the sky, speak truth, no lies. Still I rise above all the guns and drugs. Revolutionary thug, I'm a king by blood.
Alright, so what's your name?
My name is Richmond X, Minister of Information for Wake Up the Black Nation Radio.
So, first off, what are your thoughts on integration?
Well, that's a very good question, my brother. First of all, integration has been a trick used by our enemies to rob black people blind. When we recall, before integration, we had more businesses. We had more self-pride. You see what I'm saying? Because we had no other choice but to do for self. For example, when you look at Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma, the site of the worst race massacre in world history, you see black people doing very well for themselves. We had all types of businesses. This was over 100 years ago. We was fresh up from slavery, and we were doing for self all over Oklahoma, Boley, Oklahoma, Tallahassee, Oklahoma. You got Clearview, Oklahoma. All over the state of Oklahoma, black people did well for themselves and built up their own business districts. So I believe that integration, once again, was a trick used by our enemies to rob us. Because when we look at the black nation in America right now, we're worth around $1 trillion in spending power. But look at the black beauty supply industry, for example. Who controls that industry? Black people don't control it. Asians control around 96 to 97% of black beauty supply stores, and it's our black women that's the main ones spending money. So if we are spending billions of dollars every single year, our beautiful black women spending billions of dollars every single year on their hair, then we should control that industry, especially when you look at how many of our brothers and sisters out here who are unemployed. So when I talk about integration, I don't come at it from a place of feelings. I come at it from a place of economics. Every nation that comes to America, when you look at the Asians, when you look at the Arabs, when you look at the Europeans from Europe, all of them come over here and they build up their little Chinatown, little Italy, little Germantown, little whatever. They build up their own thing and they stick with each other. Let's just look at the Mexicans, for example. You got people from Mexico who just came over here 10 years ago. And now they're doing well, owning businesses, building homes from the ground up. How did they do this? They didn't do this by integrating with white folks. They didn't do this by marching in the streets like Dr. Martin Luther King and begging white people to feed them. They did this by working with each other, unifying. So that's my thoughts on integration.
All right. So what are your thoughts on black education?
Black education is essential. I think that in the 21st century, we have went backwards as far as education is concerned. I don't think that our children are being taught what they need to know to survive in this society. You go to school from kindergarten all the way up to the 12th grade, and never do they teach you anything about how to invest in stocks and bonds. Never do they teach you anything about how to start a business. They don't even teach you how to go out here and grow your own food so you can feed yourself and your family. So education is very important, but we have to look at what type of education. I think black people need to start looking more towards STEM, science, technology, engineering, mathematics, also broadcast journalism, because we need our own black media, agriculture, trades, learning how to build things, learning how to teaching black women how to sew again, teaching black men how to make their own boots and their own shoes, teaching black people how to use their hands, similar to what Booker T. Washington taught. When we look at Booker T. Washington in Tuskegee, that college was built from the ground up. Those brothers and sisters, when they got to that location, there was no school. And they literally made the bricks that was used to build the school. And not only did they make the bricks to build the school, but they made the bricks and sold the bricks to people of all races. At Tuskegee, they was teaching brothers and sisters how to make mattresses, how to make brooms, how to make desks, how to make tables, how to make beds. Now when you look at the state of black America, what do we make? We are nothing more than consumers. We're not producing anything on the world market. So black education is very important, but we need the right form of education.
And then what would be the importance of HBCUs?
HBCUs, that's a subject that is very dear to my heart. And I gotta give thanks to our ancestors for all of the HBCUs that we have, because many of these HBCUs were started by former slaves. I just got through talking about Booker T. Washington, who was my hero. He was a former slave. And he went to that school when there was nothing there. And he dedicated his entire life to black education. HBCUs are very important. And black people in America need to support their HBCUs more. We have many HBCUs, such as Morris Brown in Atlanta, Georgia, which closed down not too long ago for many reasons. But you also have other HBCUs who have closed down because they just didn't have the funding. And why is that? That's because black people wasn't supporting our own schools. We were so busy trying to go to the white folks' school, so busy trying to go to Harvard, so busy trying to go to Yale, so busy trying to go to Oklahoma State University and all these other European universities that we have forgotten our HBCUs. You have colleges, white colleges in America, they don't even need the tuition money from the students to stay operating. That's how much money they have. Why? Because the alumni give around 10 to 15% of whatever they make back to the school, to the institution that taught them. So when we talk about HBCUs, we need black people, black students who graduate from these HBCUs to support their schools more. If you went to that HBCU and you benefited from that school and you now have employment, you now have a business, then it's your duty to take 10 to 15% of whatever you make and give it to the school. Support HBCUs. Because that's where most of our black professionals come from, our black lawyers, our black doctors, our black engineers. When you do the research, the black professional class, the majority of them come from HBCUs.
How does Richmond X feel on the topic of interracial marriage?
Interracial marriage, I'm totally against interracial marriage, and this does not come from a place of hate. Once again, this comes from a place of economics. When you look at marriage, marriage is a business. When you look at these wealthy black athletes, these actresses and actors who make millions of dollars, they leave the hood and make millions, then they go marry a Caucasian or somebody from outside of their nation. What happens is that money ends up going to that other person. It doesn't come back to the black community. So if a black man marries a white woman and that black man dies before that white woman, because as Dr. Umar teaches, men generally die before women, then what's going to happen to all of that man's money? What's going to happen to Michael Jordan's money when he dies? It's going to go right back to the white woman. What's going to happen to Cuba Gooding Jr.'s money when he dies? It's going to go right back to the white woman. What's going to happen to Kanye West? What's going to happen to all these millions of dollars? It's going to go right back into the Europeans' society and these other people's society. I totally disagree with interracial marriage or interracial dating, especially when we look at the statistics of so many of our black women out here who do not have a husband, because so many of our brothers are locked up, so many of our brothers are behind bars, and then we have to look at the homosexuality thing, and that makes it hard for a lot of black women. So this is not the time for interracial marriage, interracial dating. Black love is a revolutionary act.
How do we rebuild the black family?
We rebuild the black family through education. We have to educate ourselves on how did we get into this predicament? How did we go from in the 30s and in the 40s to having the majority of black families together and united to 2018, where you have over 70% of black women raising children by themselves? This is a problem. We have to look at how we got here. This was due to the government, and this was due to feminism and other forces, Europeans. This was all manufactured. It was all a part of the Europeans' plan to separate our families. So how do we fix it? We fix it through education. Black men and black women have to learn how to communicate again with each other. We also need respect. Black women have to learn how to respect black men and honor black men. And the same goes for the black man. You have to honor your woman and respect your woman. That's how we begin to rebuild the black family. We also have to show positive images of black family in media. For example, The Cosby Show. Even though Mr. Cosby is going through his situation right now, The Cosby Show was a very powerful show because it showed the image of a black doctor married to a black lawyer who lived in a beautiful house. They wasn't in the hood. You understand me? They were all educated, and that image went all around the world. And so that's what we need more of. We need more positive propaganda.
What are your thoughts on black business?
Black business is essential, my brother. The thing about black business is many of us, after integration, we stopped trying to do for self. We stopped trying to build our own businesses up and build our own business districts. We wanted to go work for the white man. We wanted to go to school just so we could get a job for the Europeans. You see, and so this has made us a slave people with a slave mind. The reality is the only chance that you have as a black American in this country is through black business, through ownership, something, because you can't pass down a job. You can't, your children can't inherit your little job. You understand? So black people need to be focused on industry. What industries can we get into and corner and master and be able to create generational wealth and pass down that wealth to our children so they don't got to go to college and go $60,000 in debt trying to get some loans. Black business is essential. I believe that every black person in America should have a business. Even if you have a good job working for them white folks making six figures. I'm not hating on that. Get your money. But at the end of the day, you need to have something on the side where you can bring in money without them, because you can never put your faith in this European system because it's going to collapse. So black people must master business. It is essential.
What is the state of black health?
The state of black health is terrible. I mean, just walk through any black community. A lot of our brothers and sisters is obese, overweight, high cholesterol. When we look at the health problems in America, most of these problems, black people was at the top. Diabetes, cholesterol, heart disease. Our people is at the top. Look at our eating habits. We got these Arab stores in our neighborhood selling us bad food. Brothers and sisters is eating. It's just terrible, brother. We only have 1% of the farmers in America, so we're not growing our food. We're putting all these chemicals in our body. The Europeans put GMOs and all type of chemicals in the food, and it's causing the black body to break down, and it's also, many of our people are dying early because they are not eating right. And so what we need to do is start studying the teachings of Dr. Sebi. Dr. Sebi, one of our greatest nutritionists, he taught us how to eat. We need to study the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. He got 2 books out. It's called How to Eat to Live, part 1 and 2. Because when we look at black health, you understand me, who taught us how to eat? We're not eating like we used to eat in Africa. Many of us still have a slave diet. You still have black people in America eating pig intestines, eating guts, and they see nothing wrong with that. Think about it. Whenever we have a funeral, a family member dies, what's the first thing we go do? We go eat. Your family member could have died from a heart attack, and then you go eat the same stuff that killed your family member. And so we need more black dietitians, more black people to study health, study food, so they can teach that to our people.
What is the importance of black history?
Black history is the most honorable Elijah Muhammad said that history always rewards the researcher. And when you go to Kemet, ancient Kemet, on the walls in Egypt, what does it say? It says, know thyself. That's why so many of our people is walking around here dumb, deaf, and blind. They don't know who they are. That's why so many of our brothers and sisters are killing each other, because they have been taught to hate themselves. They don't know about their glorious past. You see, when you go to a doctor, what's the first thing they ask you? They ask you, do you have any of this illness in your family? They ask about your history. Why do they ask about your history? So they can come up with a conclusion, so they can come up with a solution to the problem that you face. And so the solution to the problems that we face now is we have to study our history. How did we get in this condition? How did we wind up slaves? How did we end up in Babylon? How did we wind up at the bottom of the economic ladder? Black history is everything. And so I believe that every black person out there should have your own personal library. Before you read anybody's history, you need to read your history. Too many brothers and sisters out here want to read about everybody else's history and don't know nothing about themselves. don't know nothing about Dr. Claude Anderson, don't know nothing about Dr. John Henry Clark, Dr. Ben, all of the greats. They don't know nothing about these people. Why? Why? You have to ask yourself, why is it that the European wants to always push Dr. Martin Luther King on you? You have a Dr. Martin Luther King Day, but no Malcolm X Day. Why? Because the European wants to keep you docile, wants to keep you weak, wants to keep you turning the cheek. But then when you start studying your history, you start studying about Malcolm X, the other militant brothers and sisters such as the Black Panthers, and you see the black people have always been a fighting people. Even when you study the slave trade, they didn't just bring us over here easily. We didn't just come over here willingly on no slave ship. I read somewhere that it said around 25% of the slave ships ended in revolt. 25% of our brothers and sisters, maybe even more. That's just one statistic. So when you start learning that your people were fighters, then what is that going to tell you? What's that going to tell that little black child? I don't come from a weak people. I don't come from a soft people. I come from a people. I come from warriors. When you look at the so-called Native Americans, they have reservations all over Oklahoma. I remember I was watching a commercial, and there was an Indian chief on there with his little daughter, and he told his daughter, if we lose our language, we lose everything. All over America, you have Holocaust museums commemorating what happened in Nazi Germany. Because what is their rallying cry? Never forget. Because they understand the importance of history, brothers and sisters. And so, yes, black history is very important.
What are your thoughts on black media?
Man, you know, I work in media, broadcast journalism. That's an outstanding degree. More brothers and sisters need to go into that. I believe that black people, we need our own black media. We do, because right now when you look at it, we have no black 24-hour news station. Right now in America, we have over 64,000 black women and girls missing. People don't know where they're at. They disappear. Who knows what happened to these young sisters? You see? But they don't get the media attention that the white girls get or the white women get when they go missing. Why? Because we don't control anything. We always want to run around here and talk about that we free, but we don't even control the information that goes into our minds. The European understands the power of propaganda. So every single day when you turn on the television, you're being hypnotized. They're showing you all of these images of your people that are not reality. They always want to tell you how bad Chicago is. They always want to show you these images of black single parents. They always want to show you these images of black men killing each other, but they don't show you the positive images. And why? It's because our enemy wants to wipe us out. So we need our own media. We need black journalists. We need black filmmakers. We need black people who are going to be able to put forth what I call positive propaganda, because images are more powerful than words. And so black media is essential. We need our own black news stations. We need our own black radio stations. Look at us right now in America. How many black newspapers do we have? We have 60-something black radio stations in America. 60-something black radio stations for over 40 million people. And so that shows you that we are behind enemy lines. And so when these young brothers and sisters go to college and these professors can't understand why these young brothers and sisters don't know anything, it's because, look, who was there to teach them? Where's our black CBS? Where's our black PBS? Where's our black CNN? We don't have that. How can we call ourselves men when we do not even have the capabilities at this time to feed ourselves? You see, before the World Wars, before World War I and World War II, we was out on the farm. We was out in Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, South Carolina, North Carolina, Texas, growing our crops, feeding our family. The family was united. And we were eating better. We were living longer. We were stronger because we didn't have all those chemicals in the food. We can go back to health for a second. We don't know what these people are putting in our food. So even if you think you're doing something by becoming a vegan or a vegetarian, you don't know what they sprayed on that tomato. You don't know what they sprayed on that orange or that apple. So the only way to overcome that is to take control of the food. And that means that more black parents need to send their children to college to become farmers, to learn agricultural science. You got people from China, people from Africa, people from all over Europe coming to America, to this country that we helped build, This country that we have shed blood for, coming to our country to get education in agriculture so they can take that education back home and teach their people. We should be doing the same.
How do you feel about black people in the military?
I totally disagree with black people being in the military. I am a military vet myself. I went to the military when I was a teenager. And I have no regrets about it because it taught me a lot of things. But in this climate, this current climate in America, I think it's unfortunate that any black person would put on a uniform with an American flag on it and go and fight for a country that won't even fight for you. Just look at what they did to Kaepernick. Kaepernick took a knee, which is his constitutional right. And these white folks treated that man like he went out here and killed somebody. All because this was his way of protesting. Why would you sign up for the military when they're killing black men and women every single day in these streets? Just look at what they did to Sandra Bland. Look at what they did to Mike Brown. Look at what they did to the little brother up in Cleveland, Tamir Rice. Look at what they did to so many others. Philandro Castillo got shot in front of his wife and his little daughter by police, and it was caught on camera. And the police who killed him didn't do a day in jail. So why would you go fight for a country who will not fight for you? Many times our brothers and sisters end up in Iraq and Afghanistan. I remember talking to an older gentleman who went to Vietnam. He told me the Vietnamese came out and said, "Leave, black man, this is not your war. This is not your war." And so I got to salute all of the black veterans for their bravery, but I just believe that there's other ways to make money. Don't sign up for the military. It's not good for black people. Not at this point.
How do you feel about the prison industrial complex?
The prison industrial complex is just an extension of slavery. Prison is slavery, and it says that in the Constitution. If you go to prison, you are a slave. But when you look at the police officer, what is a police officer? The police officer evolved from the slave catcher. The prison industry evolved out of slavery. After slavery ended, these Europeans they still needed those workers. They still needed those slaves to keep those plantations going. So how did they do it? They created what's called black codes. So where you could get in trouble for any little thing and then throw you into the prison. And so during the recession, a lot of people lost their jobs. And there were towns who were begging for these prisons to come to their town, their little district, so they could create jobs. So you see, the prison industrial complex, it's all about creating jobs. These evil people are investing in the prison industry, and the black man is the one who is filling up these prisons, the black man and the black woman. It's all about putting you back into slavery. And so the only way that we can end this prison industrial complex is education. Young brothers and sisters got to know, look, they got a place for you. They got a place for you, and that's called the penitentiary, where they'll have you on the chain gang, working day and night. Look at how many different industries look at how many different businesses, rather, that use prison labor. Even Victoria's Secret uses prison labor. Some of your license plates that you got, that was a prisoner who made that. When you at home and a telemarketer calls you, that was a prisoner that called you, most likely. Because why would they pay somebody out here on the streets $10 an hour for a job when they could pay a prisoner, I don't know, 5 or 6 cents an hour? And so black people have to understand what they are up against. They are up against a system that seeks to put them back into slavery. That's my thoughts on the prison industrial complex.
All right, any other thoughts?
Yes, sir. I'd like to say I appreciate you for doing this interview with me. And to all the brothers and sisters out there, y'all have to understand one thing. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Just because these Europeans said you was free, that don't mean you free. You're still not free. We still don't have any industries. We're not controlling anything. You look at this whole the abortion industry, black women killing themselves. They say, I read a statistic that said more black people have died through abortion, than homicides, than car wrecks, than AIDS, heart disease combined, all of that. And so we got so many problems that we are facing. I just wish that more black people would understand and open up their eyes and wake up and begin to fight back. The way that you fight back is through education, enlightening yourself and enlightening the ones around you. And so I want everybody out there, when y'all get a chance, make sure y'all check out my channel, Wake Up the Black Nation Radio. What's the name of your channel, brother?
This is Alan Rouge on YouTube. That's all it is.
Check out that brother's channel.
The world is ours, black power to the final hour. The world is ours, black power to the final hour. The world is ours, black power to the final hour. The world is ours, still I rise to